All right, thank you. Testing. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll get started here in a minute once all of the sign-in sheets are collected. We need to have 66. I have a couple of agendas if anybody needs an agenda. Okay, has anybody not had a chance to sign in yet? All right, thank you. What's that? Okay, I thought you could. Oh, thanks. I'm just going to leave these here.
That's why, actually. Well, I guess because I'm the pastor and they write in about us, it's like, do you have to be a member to be on the church council? That sounds like a conflict of interest. I'm not technically a member. I wonder if does that have anything in there about that?
I don't think so. I think by default, by accepting your call here, you'd be a member.
No, I mean, I'm talking about congregants even. Does it have anything in them? You have to be a member of the church to be a officer?
I think so. Here's I printed out the Constitution and bylaws just
I don't want to read that. Let me give it to somebody else who wants to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you later. Tell me when I can pray.
Did Brittany sign in?
I'm assuming she did.
Okay.
Sign in. Brittany.
This is how our printer staples.
Oh, it's your printer.
It's the printer makes.
I was wondering what that was. I was like,
Printer staple situation. Yeah, it crimps it together.
Where are the proxies go?
Where are the what?
Proxies.
The proxies are.
No, filled out ones.
They should be with
the person until they,
supposed to keep it
until we hand out ballots.
We should find out how many people have.
Okay, can I see a show of hands who all has proxies? Okay, so we do have, all right. Right.
We're good.
Okay, we do have a quorum. We will start handing out the ballots and then hold on to your proxy and we'll hand you a ballot when you give us the proxy, okay? Let's hand out the ballots. Let's start it now, and then I'll start the. Okay, and as soon as they're, you want to wait until they're done, or do the prayer, the opening prayer?
I can pray.
Okay.
I mean, it'd probably be okay. Well, do I have to call it to order? Call the order and then I can pray?
Let's wait till the confusion is done.
Okay, I'm going to sit down again.
Yeah, sit down. Thank you. I like your shirt, by the way.
Hey, thanks. I bought it myself. Are we actually going to give committee reports?
We'll put them up on the slides.
Oh, cool.
And then if the chair is going to have some highlights or they want to speak, then they can.
I'm excited. I'll get up and talk for a while.
You've had your turn. You just sit there and be quiet.
You should be president. No? Okay, I agree. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that. This keeps getting worse today. Know when you're done, Josh. Just get off the stage.
We have a blank ballot up here.
Blank what?
A blank ballot.
I don't have it.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. And we have a blank ballot for me.
There you go.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to Costco after this and get the hot dogs and the buns and the fries. I committed to this, so she's not even leaving it because she usually works on Sundays. But she gets to cover it next week. So I just.
Thank you all for your patience. Again, thank you everybody for coming here to celebrate our coming together in this council meeting, or the congregational meeting, to elect our new council for this coming year. As we're finishing up here, I'd like to call the meeting to order and give the mic to Pastor Josh for our opening prayer.
Let us pray. Lord Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as your people. We ask that as we consider the administrative and business responsibilities of the church to continue to function as an organization, that you would bless us with your wisdom, your insight, your unity, and your peace. To you be all glory, honor, and praise, both your Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Josh. Okay, so we do have a quorum. Everybody should have a ballot for themselves and for their proxy. Next on the agenda, we would start with the reading of the minutes from the last congregational meeting. We have a copy of the minutes. Okay, we have a motion to waive the reading of the minutes.
Who seconded it?
John McCrae seconded it, and Bob Felton was the motion. Do we have any discussion? Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion passes unanimously. I was prepared to read this for you. Oh, okay. Okay, next we have the financial report. Our treasurer is not in attendance today. She is out of town, so I apologize. I am not the treasurer, so I cannot answer questions for her. So I will say, if anybody has questions on the financial report, please direct your questions to Sarah or to your elder in writing or email or in conversation, and then we can bring these questions back to Sarah to be answered. Yes. Test.
Paul Maurer. I think the financial report is very important because a lot of times people might not have access to a computer, might not be able to follow it for whatever reason or whatever. So we should have someone at these meetings that can address the financial aspects of this church. Just like that to go on the record.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it came up at the last minute that Sarah wouldn't be able to attend today. So I apologize myself that I can't answer for her or the financial situation. So again, for the people that don't have computers or just would like a question answered, please reach out to your elder or directly to Sarah, or actually, if you want, you can get with me. I'll write it down and I'll get the question to Sarah. Any further questions?
I just, a quick edit on the LCEF 2.125% maturity. It says it matured 12/10/21. So I think just need to clarify that.
Okay. You got it? Okay. Thank you. Any further questions for the financial report that we can?
Just quickly, you're saying there's no one qualified on the council to answer why there's an $8,000 over budget on operations and facilities?
Right.
No one knows why that
Sharice
is.
is not here and Sarah's not here.
So you didn't approve that?
It was approved in expenditures.
For what?
Basically, well, we'll have to ask.
No one on the council knows what an $8,000.
So, yeah, we do have some of the information. So I don't want it to think that we as a council don't understand, and we're fine. We'll get it. There is an $8,000 overage because we paid JC Pro to do the screen. So every month, it's not going to be exact. And we do our budgets based on a calendar year. And so every month may be up or down based on payments that are made. That payment was made which goes against our budget. That'll be made up and will not show up in the next budgets as we move forward. Good question.
Good question. Thank you. I apologize that I'm not as up on the financial matters myself, and I don't want to misspeak. So that's the reason why I don't like to answer those. Go ahead, Sean.
To help address that, I'm ahead of the BPM. The screen is following underneath my budget, and my budget's is going to be quite a bit over because of that. And we had to make a deposit on the screen. And it just started being worked on this week by the electricians. So there will be, like Kurt was saying, there will be more funds coming out of my budget, which in end will probably come out of the capital improvement budgets. The screen is, if you're not familiar with it, there's a screen being put in the fellowship hall behind the drapes, and it'll come down. It's a 100-inch wide screen, and there's a projector being mounted behind it, and that's what the electricians are wiring right now. So it will show the images from the backside, and this is going to be used for a lot of teaching, educational things. And this was approved several months ago, the final money on it. So that's, if you want more detail on that, I think Pastor knows a little bit more than I do about the actual working of the screen. But that's what's happened so far, is it's just a deposit that was put down.
So the expenditure was approved by the council,
Yes.
so there will be an adjustment. So it is over the budget that was approved by the congregation.
No, it's over my budget, not the capital. At this point, it's coming out of the BPM budget because we didn't have a line item budget for it. But in the end, the way we're going to hope to do it is to take it out of capital improvements because it is a large expenditure.
And if the capital improvement budget approved by the congregation is sufficient to take care of that expenditure.
This was all done at the last
Use that one.
meeting, congregational meeting as well. It came up. This was in December. The amount of money, and it was approved then at the congregation, and then it was approved again at council.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Thank you, Bob. Any further questions to get written down or to be answered? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the next item, which is our discussion and vote candidates for council positions. You have your ballots in front of you. Jim, do you want to?
So there's no motion necessary, but the ballot is in front of you, and what we're going to do is this is the ballot of nominees from our nomination committee, Chuck Alvey and Randy Brandt. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and see if there's any nominations from the floor for each of the different offices. You have to do it in order of the bylaws. All right. Who's up? Education would be the first one. Here.
Education is the first. Do we have any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next. President-elect will be Randy Brandt. Do we have any other nominations from the floor? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to the next one. Welfare Chair. Do we have any nominations from the floor for welfare? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next. Property. Do we have any nominations from the floor for property?
This is where you stand up now.
No, because the elders already did that, so. All right, thank you all. We will proceed. We don't have to do a nomination from the floor for head elder because the elders elect the nomination for the nominee for head elder. according to our bylaws. So at this time, I would ask you all to mark your ballots, and then we will come around and pick them up.
I move the slate of officers be approved by acclamation.
Steve seconded. And Bob Felton was the motion. Any discussion on,
We had some discussion in council that they would rather to fill out the ballots. I'm just throwing that out as discussion. And if we want to vote on it then and we vote, then we do it the slate, it's fine. But we did have discussion in council that there was a recommendation to actually do the ballots. That's discussion.
okay, so any other further questions or discussion on voting by acclamation? All in favor of the motion to vote by acclamation, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. That's it, okay. This will be a lot faster than later on since we don't have to count the votes. Thank you. Next, we're going to have the committee reports. Can we have those up on the screen, please? Okay, so first up, education is for Vicki Banky.
All right, as you can see, we have Vacation Bible School coming up at the end of June. Tracy Tresley volunteered last year, and she will continue this year. She does an absolutely fabulous job with the kids. We already have 70 students signed up. Confirmation will take place next week. There will be 8 students confirmed. And also, is that the complete page there? Okay, so I just want to thank all the people. Pastor Josh is up there for his geography class, but other people have been leading Bible studies this year as well. Pastor Josh also leads Bill and Ted's Tuesday morning Bible study. Brittany Brown has been leading a worship Bible study. Kim Brandt does a women's Bible study on alternate Thursdays. Kim Snodgrass has been doing a Bible study, I'm not sure exactly what day, but I think maybe Sunday mornings as well. John Hours has been doing a Monday night football and Bible study, which is mostly Bible study and not so much football, at his home. Bill and Pat Heineke do a Bible study on memorizing scriptures. Chelsea Thompson and Robin Hughes are leading the youth Bible studies. Oikos groups each have their own Bible studies, and I lead a Sunday morning ladies Bible study. So just keep this in mind for the fall. If you want to join any Bible studies, just call the church office and they'll or watch the announcements. I just want to thank all the people who have volunteered to lead. You don't have to be an expert to lead a Bible study. Lots of the books have the answers in the back. And there's always somebody to answer your questions if you have them. So thanks to all these people. Any questions? Good, thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Next we have Mercy Ministries. Thank you, Pam.
Good afternoon, everybody. What a great God we serve, who gives us the resources and the people and the funds to reach out, up, and in with the ministry from St. Luke's Lutheran Church. I, too, would like to thank everybody, Vicki, who participates in so many of our programs. We have actually 5 different Mercy Ministry programs. And they are Sun with the Meschners, that's the missionary trip, Shared Harvest with the Hoffmans, Lurt with Dave Lorenz and Robin Hughes, Tutoring with Dave Lorenz and Chris Gingras. Hooks and Needles with Kathy Barkowski's group. And we've just started a new partnership with Katie Grace for our food pantry. We have a food pantry next to the refrigerator, which will be available for anybody that needs anything, and we'll have a sign-out sheet for that. So that would primarily go to senior high kids, or even we've got tons of Gatorade. You can use that for Vacation Bible School if they wish. We developed four partnerships this year outside of the church. Quest Counseling is a counseling program, and they have been fabulous about giving resources to us. I can't tell you specifically, but we did have one case that came to Mercy Ministries, and they saw that person in less than 24 hours. So it was really great. That's great. Katie Grace, of course, continues to be a foundational supporter for us. Everything from food and resources to the plants that we have, the fake plants all over for the VBS program. We want to thank Doughboy Donuts and Dutch Brothers Coffee. These are partnerships that have never charged us anything for anything that we get or give. So we're really grateful to that, and we thank God for the support of the church for every single ministry that has outreach in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. It has been called to my attention that the motion and the vote of acclamation is just to accept the slate of candidates as is. We still need to do the vote for the candidates. So, what's that? Do we have a motion to accept? And yeah, hold on. We need to do the motion first, then we'll do questions. Okay.
Paul Maurer. It's my understanding that the elders elect the head elder.
They appoint the candidate, and it's still elected by the congregation.
Still elected by the according
Yes,
to the
according
bylaws and the Constitution.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, so do we have a motion to, what is it, motion? Motion to accept the slate? To approve the slate.
Move to approve the slate as presented.
Okay, Chuck Alvey? Okay. Any further discussion on the vote? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion passes. We have a new council. Thank you. All right. Next, committee report.
Good morning. The numbers you see here are just the attendance for the past month. I'm happy to answer questions if you have them, but to keep it short too, just if anyone is interested in serving as members of the welcome team, let myself or Sarah Scatini know. And also, if you're interested in doing reading for the service in any of those capacities, please, that we have a sign up for that as well.
Any questions? Thank you, Megan. Next report. Oh, here he comes.
I apologize, I had to find my other glasses. So what we have up on the screen is basically the ministry report from last month. But I wanted to take this opportunity. It's been 11 months since Tom Toulour so kindly pushed me forward. So thank you, Tom. I wanted to go over the last 11 months. In the last 11 months, all the elders have signed the St. Luke's Elder Care Ministry Covenant. And that covenant was created by a subcommittee within the elders, Buzz Nelson and Jay Kreider. and it basically defines our elder commitments, duties, and responsibilities. And that document is available to the congregation. It's our commitment to Christ and you. Congregational members were able to select their elders from January 14th through Easter Sunday. And during that Select Your Elder push, we had 240 congregational members select their elders. I commend you all. Now the problem is we have to figure out how to connect members to elders who didn't select an elder, and that's a big task. On April 13th, Pastor Josh hosted a town hall discussion. As if you recall, during the last congregational meeting, there was some discussion about what do we call our elders within the Board of Elders going forward. So that's been resolved, and on April 13th, Pastor Josh hosted a town hall discussion to specifically talk about the preferred titles for our current elders. After a 2-hour thoughtful and respectful discussion, it was decided to retain the term elder, but to include care advocates to clarify the role of elders at St. Luke's. So we are elder care advocates. Elders are also, in the last 11 months, we've made a push to be more accessible to the membership. How we're doing that now is every elder has a lapel pin that looks similar to this. And Lynn, would you mind standing up for just a second? He's also wearing a lanyard. And so the elders that actually know where their lanyard is wears a lanyard. So that's also another way while we're here. Worship attendees can also submit a prayer card requesting an elder contact them. So on the back of a prayer card, it asks if you'd like to have an elder contact you, you can put your name and contact information on it. And then also elders can be contacted directly from the St. Luke's website. And if anyone's ever been to the St. Luke's website, it is a marvelous portal of information that's available to us. A lot of members have a problem signing in to My St. Luke's. You don't know your password, you don't know your username, or you don't know your password. I understand completely. So we've created a way to be able to contact all of the elders without having to log in. All you do is go to the St. Luke's webpage, Ministries, Care Ministry, Elders, and boom, all the elders are there and available. All you have to do is click on there, contact me, and it goes directly to them. And a copy of that message goes to me. And each elder has a commitment to provide a communication at a minimum quarterly. So if you do not hear from your elder quarterly, then there is a problem. And either you can go directly to your elder, or you can come to me. But each elder has a commitment to contact their members quarterly. And already most elders have a plan for a summer barbecue, physical get-together. Also, part of the care ministry of which I'm involved with is Solace. And Joanne Phillips, she is here. Joanne, can you stand up for just a second? So Joanne has allowed the Holy Spirit to press on her heart, and she is going to lead a ministry that has been vacant for quite some time, and that's the Solace Ministry. And they may not know it yet, but Linda Oliver and Nancy O'Brien are going to be helping. So we're excited to be able to offer more care for our congregational members. And thank you very much. I appreciate allowing me to ramble in front of you.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, next one up is Sean.
Would anybody like to make a motion to not have me read the minutes of my report? No? Anyway, first of all, thank you all for re-electing me. I've had a good time the last 2 years. I've enjoyed working here and having many people work on my committee. and different projects, so I look forward to 2 more years. I do have a large list of items we're still getting done, which exceeds 2 years' worth, but we look forward to getting them done. A couple of highlights, of course, I'd like to prepare you for a couple minutes, Pastor, is when I finish talking, will you come talk directly about the screen and its usage? Thank you. I can talk to you about the installation. Probably the biggest thing on the screen right now is that we did just get the building approval last week to start on it. And that's why the electrician has started this last few days. We do have another electrician here that I'd like to mention. It's up here on my report. It's Chad Kay, who's the owner of High Voltage Electric. He has donated his time for labor and for the fixtures to install. We're switching everything over to LED, and we're starting here in the fellowship hall and the kitchen. You'll notice when you go back into the kitchen, the pantry in the back has new fixtures being put in, and the light switch will be on the outside, or you don't have to go into the stairwell to turn on the lights. They'll be right there off the tile wall. And when you flip them on, they'll go on all the way back into the Ruth Guild storage area. So that's being done. There'll be new lighting installed over here at this door by the sacristy to light these steps up. And that's also being all donated, as well as any light bulbs. And we have many fixtures going into the White House that'll all be all new LED. So, yes, Vicki. I'm not sure about that yet because those are the fluorescent tubes that are in there, and we have to find out if that can be done. I've been in there. I know Josh Hall has been there as well. It's a little difficult to get those replaced in there. So, I'm sorry? Not all of them. In the cross? Yeah, I replaced the top ones, but those are still regular bulbs. Right. Right. Well, I went in the top, believe it or not. I went in that little door, and I squeezed all the way across there. It would be easier to get Josh in there, but I made it. But we would like to switch those out to LED, but I'm not sure yet. We'll probably put a couple of them in there, too, to make sure they're not too bright, because the LED lights are pretty bright when you put the fluorescents in. But anyway, so we'll be doing that. We'll be doing these fixtures, not changing these fixtures. We'll be changing all the bulbs in these. And then the fixtures of the White House and the pantry area.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Now that the permit has been done and the work has started, will the screen be ready for Vacation Bible School?
Not sure.
If everything goes to plan.
If everything goes smooth, right. There's a lot of variables in that, especially with the electrical going in, so, and the contractor working together with them, so I hate to say that now. We'd like to, definitely, but we're up to the mercy of these guys, so.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, Paul? Thank you.
Just a great job. I think you guys did a great job. I certainly
Great, thank you very
appreciate
much.
it. Yeah.
Yes. And I know, as you well know, most of you, maybe some don't, that was fully donated by an individual member of our church. So that was a great, had to have that. We just worked with the company to get it done, but thank you. It looks really good.
I just want to thank you too, Sean, for getting the container placed and set up for us, which will be used for alert and anything from Mercy Ministries that we might need. For rearranging the storage room and getting that organized has really been a big blessing for our optimal performance and getting things done, because we know where things are now. So I didn't say that in my speech, but I do know that everybody in the ministries really appreciates all that you do for us in these individual ministries. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I look forward to doing it for 2 more years. So I'm glad it's very useful. Pastor, would you like to talk a little bit about the working of the screen? I'm sorry? The drapes, yeah, the question is, are the drapes being done? The drapes that are in there now, our intention is once the screen gets in there or we get the measurements of it, those screens or the drapes will be moved forward. So they'll be straight, they won't be back. I think they're back like 3 feet now. So we're gonna have to move those forward. Now the question is, are we switching for fire? We have an issue that these were made for us and donated by the women's prison, I believe? Men's prison? Women's, yeah. Okay, well, it was donated
Prisoners.
by prisoners. Right, right. So we've looked into it, but I can't say we've made the decision to go that way yet.
That was the only
But the
piece I
first
didn't
thing we got to do is get where they hang moved forward so we can put drapes, then we can get into the actual material. So go ahead.
I had to ask that qualifier because there's been lots of discussions over the course of time on how we're making that move with all of that, and as projects grow and getting things like electrical and all those things moved to make things more effective. What do you need to know right now about the screens? The screen. So we have large group meetings that can't fit into anywhere in the north hallway. We have groups of people that are 30 plus. You can get about 25 in there real tight into one of the north hallway rooms. So when you have groups that are in larger groups, so we're talking about like my roots classes and other classes that I lead, the screen function and the difficulty early on was like our TVs are small for seeing the distance and things like that. And the opportunity for having more things in the fellowship hall, because you can then also see a larger space, opens up great opportunities. So there was a member, so I have to be real careful because you got to think about these things. There was a singular member who decided to start investing in that project years ago, and then others joined in that project with memorials and things like that to get that going. Then we increased our structure and our plan to do it right, so it doesn't end up looking like my shed. That's why Sean is the building guy and not me. And so it's going to be done right, and we're going to have the electrical for safety and things moved. Has anybody ever tried to walk up on the dark stage? Do you know where the light switches are? You got to get across whatever's been left on the stage to get the lights turned on. We're going to move the lights. We're going to move the switches over to the other side so that people can get up there safely. We're doing some of that work also to make sure it's done right so that the sound and the technical abilities will happen. So when we're having congregational meetings, we'll be able to have those in there and have not a screen that distance, a large screen that you'll be much closer to be able to see those things. During our fellowship hours, we're going to be able to have sliding reels of the information that's going on, or the ministries or the groups that are hosting those. Can I just do my portion of a report as well? Cool. Something we're really excited about with the ministry directors that we've been working towards is, do you guys remember Wednesday nights at church that eventually kind of lost steam and lost resources, people willing to participate in all that? We are looking to bring back Wednesday nights at church in the fall, which is a huge deal, like when you lose VBS and getting that back. It's a huge, exciting thing. We're going to be starting, because we have the capability with the screen, we are going to be screening the television show The Chosen on Wednesdays. We're going to have a meal, because there's a kitchen ministry getting started to serve a meal and to provide that. And then we're going to have small group table discussions to discuss what we saw, and just an early step into maybe some of the education around the stories of the scripture in a fun way where you don't have to come in and do a full year of geography with Pastor Josh to get into the class, but hopefully to build new connections and get people learning. So we're really excited about that. And The Chosen will go all year long because we got 4 seasons to get through. So that'll hopefully begin the process of prioritizing Wednesdays again into our schedules, and then begin opening a new space for ministries, for education, for confirmation, and different things to be meeting more than just trying to get everything on a Sunday morning. So really excited about that as well. Is there any question then about, did I cover that quickly? And I got in the midweeks, and I got in Peacemakers. Peacemakers is starting in the fall as well. It's a whole church thing, but I don't think I need to get you right now. It'll be in a weekly email. Is there any questions for me? You already heard enough from me today? Okay, sounds good.
How about myself? Any other
You liked your
questions?
sermon.
No? Yes.
How will you acknowledge high voltage? I mean,
I'm sorry?
For donating all that time, I mean, will they, for that gift that they're giving, right?
Well, in the past, we've done things like little gift certificate to the individuals or that kind of thing. I don't know. We can certainly address it and come up with something. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I mean,
So
great.
I'm Steve Phillips, and I just think that when these things occur, and we know that it's high voltage, that when someone has electrical needs, that they aren't going to try a Pastor Brown approach on.
Right.
Wise. It's a good decision.
But what a great
shoe
thing
fits.
to hear someone to think of. So
Yeah.
that was my, kind of like pass it along.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
We do have a process ever since we did the East Hallway and we did the bathrooms where we do a handwritten card with a St. Luke's logo thing. And then the people who are the point of contact, like Sean, and then usually myself, and now it would be Charisse as well, will all go in. And then there's usually like a gift card or something thanking them for that. And physical, actual looking in the eye thanks and a written thank you. Because most of the people aren't doing it for the gift card. They're doing it because they want to love and care for the church. And so the best thing to do is to really appreciate that, you know, in those ways. So that's what we do typically, yeah.
Okay, good. No, good idea. Right. And one more item, just because when you brought that up about Chad, is when Pastor said a minute ago about the stage light switches. When Chad and I walked through here, I didn't realize it at first, but I'm sure quite a few of you do. When you walk into any one of these Odyssey rooms, the light switches are behind the door on every single one of them. Why they did that when they built this, I have no idea. He will also be moving those to where you won't have to go behind the door. So that's something he brought up to my attention that I hadn't realized. So if there's anything else, though, if you guys please get a hold of me. If there's something, I had 2 projects given to me this morning by 2 different members of the church. So I'm welcome to take those on. So just give them to me. I'll get on my list and we'll get going on them. Even if it's just removing cobwebs off those lights like we did a couple weeks ago. If it's something as simple as that, please let me know. The one that's out right here? Yes, I looked at that myself for quite a while, but those bulbs will be changed, so hopefully at the same time. I won't mention any names, but they're a little bit more difficult now because they've been raised up about 5-6 feet from where we used to be able to reach them with our big ladder. We can't do that any longer. We'll have to bring in some kind of a device to lift us up there. So maybe when 3 are out, then I'll do it. No, but we'll be getting those done, absolutely. Any other questions? Good. Well, thank you all very much. I look forward to another 2 years.
All right, thank you, Sean. All right, next up is our newly appointed stewardship chair, Chuck Alvey.
Thank you, Kurt. The council in its wisdom appointed me as stewardship chair, so I'll be filling out this term through this year. I picked my son, the pastor, helped me find this. For our committee, it will be Acts 20. In everything I did, I showed you that by this kind of hard work, we must help the weak, remembering the words Lord Jesus himself said, it's more blessed to give than to receive. The idea of stewardship is service. As the chair, and I'm looking for a community, so if you have interest in this, please listen carefully because I could use some help. I have 1 member volunteer already. There are actually 4 duties to stewardship. 1, promote proportional giving. 2, promote Christian stewardship and its financial aspects in the congregation. 3, promote such canvases. Sounds like a building project, but those are surveys. This was written a long time ago, as may be necessary, and promote Christian fellowship. So today, just a quick overview of things I'm looking to do and get help with. Please see me later. But we want to celebrate the good things that you do. It's like the giving on the awning that Sean said. This congregation, at least in my 34 years, and I'm told for years prior to that, has always stepped up when needs were there. So we celebrate that, and we thank you for that. My second goal is for this committee is to dream about what we can do in service to the Lord, up, in, and out. So you may ask, and I did, what is proportional giving? It's giving according to one's ability. It's sweat as well as financial. This giving part, financial, be assured, I want to say this slowly, and I put it in bold in here. What you give will remain highly personal, private, and your business only. I grew up in a church where they used to publish what everybody gave. That's not what we do. The idea is to understand stewardship and contemplate what the Lord needs us to do. So a good example of that, when I left Edon and went about 1.5 years with no income building my Vistage practice, my proportional giving went down because we were living on Pam's salary and my savings and those, what are they called, credit cards. When my Vistage practice has taken off and has been different, our proportional giving has gone up. Some early research indicates that our per-person offerings are comparable to churches in our area, but I want to get deeper on that later because it's interesting to know that. That's proportional giving. Number 2, stewardship. What you give makes possible what we do up, in, and out. So an overview is, and I want to make sure you understand, maybe some slides. Did you put the pie charts up or they didn't get in? Try to see if there's a pie chart. The idea, this is not a financial or treasurer's report, as you heard talking about it. There you go. But one of the things we will be looking at is, for example, 95% of our income comes from your offerings, 3% from facility rentals, 1% investment interest, and 1% other sources. And again, I did some quick research, and it's about average for a church our size. And we're going to go deeper and get a bit more analytical on this to make sure we understand it. Where do our financial resources go? The next slide. They go to 63% salaries, 19% facilities maintenance, 12% operations, 6% ministries. And again, this is very average for a church our size. And finally, under the second part, cash reserves, there's no chart for this. I worked this out late this week. We have total cash reserves of about $857,000, just under $1 million. Operating reserves are $250,000 or 29%. That's our safety net if something should go wrong. Restricted reserves are 348, that's 41%. Those are reserves that were given and for a certain purpose and cannot be used for anything but that purpose. And well, I'll have more on that later. Unrestricted reserves are about 30%, that's 259. Those are the things we can go to for screens and things of that nature. We have reserves we can tap. So that's a quick look at that. There's some very preliminary ideas that I have about promoting Christian stewardship, and those are going to include things like more grant applications where appropriate. Possibly a stewardship awareness drive. My son does this at his church, and I want to learn more about it. Fundraisers. There are some that we do for specific groups. We may want to do some for the church. I don't know. We can talk about it. Basic financial planning, maybe basic budgeting information for our younger members of our church. I had offering envelopes when I was 10 years old. Now, there was usually a dime in there off my allowance till I started pumping gas. By the way, when I started pumping gas, it was 19 cents a gallon. Anybody remember that? But other things like budgeting for yourself, estate, end of career, life planning. We already have Janet Mello helping us with end of life or with legacy planning. Leadership workshops to help raise up more people so we have more people running for office and understanding leadership. So I welcome ideas. Third part was canvases. Those are surveys. We'll do them as needed. And the last was promote Christian fellowship. So some of that's included in what we said above, but a lot of that is connecting people in fellowships and making sure the resources to do what we do. So today is just an initial look, high level. I look forward to people stepping forward and helping me with this for this coming year, and I appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chuck. Oh, Chuck, there's a question.
You should just hang on to this mic.
They promised me no questions.
Thank you. Yeah, yet. Chuck, this is Paul Maurer.
Yeah, Paul.
Quick question. What kind of where do you stand on our commitment to Synod? How have we done in the past, and how will we do in the future? What will be your recommendation?
That's a very good question. I need to get deeper into that, Paul. In the budget, I've been stewardship chair for a week, and so I'm still learning on that. But I want to get into those details to find out what. And again, make sure that we don't take a position. We enlighten everybody on this. That's really up to council and the congregation where they want to put the money. Our job is to enlighten people on how we do that. So I haven't had a chance to dig into that, but I will dig into it. There's a lot. Like Charisse gave me the list of restricted and unrestricted funds the other day, and after I took a pill to settle my heart back down because it was so complicated, I want to dig back into that. But I want to look at the Synod contributions as well. Good question. So thank you for asking that. And I will get you a copy of this, what I just said, Kathy. It was all typed out. Anybody else? I'm sorry. Any other? Or now, if you raise your hand now, you can volunteer. I'll be happy to take any volunteers that you have. This is gonna be a fun committee because we're gonna get excited about. I got some ideas about just fellowship in terms of just meeting other people, knowing who they are. I know a lot of people, but as long as I've been here, I still know all the names. There's some ideas I have for that. So let me know if you have more. Anybody else?
All right, thank you, Chuck. All right, next we have the report of Church Council. And it's hard to believe that we're already here. First of all, I would like to thank God for our opportunity to serve and to be part of this congregation and to be part of the council. Next, I would like to thank all of the people on this list who have served on Church Council. It's not an easy job to do sometimes. I mean, especially we all are volunteers and we all have different things going on. I mean, I have kids in school and full-time work. Other people have lots of other things going on. So I would just like to take a moment and say thank you to this church council that has been faithfully doing the church's business this last year. Next, I would also like to thank all the families that support our church council. I know sometimes, personally speaking, it was not easy for my family to put up with me trying to prepare for meetings or to prepare the budget or late nights and things like that. So I would just like to say thank you to all the families who support the church council as well. Next slide. Council business. The titles and duties are given in the Constitution and bylaws. I just wanted to bring this up because at some point last year it was brought up to me that somebody thought that the council positions were more like representatives in Congress rather than specifically appointed positions that have specific duties. So I would encourage everybody to look at our Constitution and bylaws and see the positions and the duties that are assigned, and also please consider to serve on church council in the future. We handle the business aspects of the church to enable and assist the mission and the ministry. I mean, that's the reason why we're here. We are not here for our own agendas or our own personal things that, to do things. We are here to support Pastor Josh and the ministry leaders and to do God's will for our congregation. We also have, as the council, we also have oversight duties and chair positions, as I mentioned, chair positions over different aspects of the work that the church does. So if you are interested, and I would highly encourage people to get, to look deeper into this. And like I said, look into the duties of the chair positions, but also look into all the different opportunities that we have for people to become involved with the kids, as Pastor Josh was talking about this morning, with our Odyssey program, with Mercy Ministries, with welfare, with the building, everything. I would really highly encourage to start to get acquainted with this so that when the time comes for next church council to be elected, perhaps you would feel moved to step up and become a nominee. Next slide, please. Items from this past year. We've had a lot of different things going on. Sometimes it was very difficult to see the way forward, but we made it through. And I just wanted to highlight these things here. We had investigation and then eventual appointment of the investment committee. We had special meetings in September and February for various things, different topics. The budget this year was very interesting, and we ended up with a balanced budget. The Concordia retirement plan for staff, it came to our attention that there was a discrepancy, and we were not in compliance with Concordia's plan for our full-time staff, and we worked hard to make sure that we knew what we were doing and what needed to be done, and we got it accomplished. There's also been a ton of building maintenance and improvements, as we heard from Sean's report. And lastly, we did get the employee handbook, the version that we have right now. It was passed, and it was a long time coming. So I just wanted to highlight these things. Next slide.
So looking forward to a couple of bullet items that we are working. This is not an all-encompassing list. Clearly, each of the different committees have their own list, but these are some of the big bullet points that we're going to be using. I did put in there, we are going to continue as a council to do what we're supposed to do, and that is to support the mission of St. Luke's. Yes, we handle the business side of St. Luke's, but we are also important to us to support the ministry staff so that they have all the tools they need to get us ready for being a part of the mission of Christ. Staffing will be a big conversation. we are not going to leave the congregation out of this conversation, but we are going to work towards a process. We are using an audit company to help us understand what it is we need and what we need a full-time employee that we pay benefits to, or we could use as outsourcing. That's a process that's going on right now. There was a meeting last week with Charisse. Haven't had a chance to talk to her about it. Policy handbooks. So we got the employee book done, but we have a ton of policies that are in a folder in Charisse's desk that's about 2 inches thick. So we need to put that all together into one policy handbook. We are looking at different ways to do that. The best way to do that is to actually look at some people who can do that for us so that we are legally safe and defendable in all of our policies. Because if Jim Fredericks does it, it's going to be like the wiring that Pastor, yeah, that's not going away. And then the budget. We continue, the budget starts right away after we get this council going, and staffing and salaries will be a part of that process. Occasionally, we as churches love to skip years in looking at our staff's salaries. Our goal is not to do that, is to put a policy in place. And how do we do that? How do we look at the salaries so that we understand that they fit correctly into what the district, the synod, or even what this area pays? So we will be looking at that also. We do need your help on communication. I have heard it a number of times that I don't know how to get reports off of the website. I don't always get the reports. The elders have stepped up and said, if you cannot use the website, you want it in writing, you wanted a printed copy of anything, contact your elders. Sounds to me like we've got 240 people taking care of that, or 240 families. We still have a lot of other families. If you know anybody who is not getting communication, get that information to the elder or the office staff. We are going to put some written reports out in the lobby, and at worship, the welcome team will know that they're there, so you can get copies, but we're not printing copies for everybody. We're going to continue to use electronic, but if you need a copy, let us know. And we know that's been a gap. We will get that filled, not correctly, but as well as we can. So we need your help in communicating that. And if you don't mind, I'd like to take a second to thank Vicki and Kurt for their time on the council. So if we could just give them a round of applause. It has been a joy to work with Kurt hand in hand. We've had a lot of meetings this year, clearly a lot of meetings. So I love his level temperament. You may not see that out of me, and I apologize up front, but there's a level temperament there and a clear, concise way of looking at things. And I've asked him many times, he keeps saying no, that he's going to be an advisory role. He's still going to be an advisory role whether he wants to or not. So, thank you. Okay. I'll pay.
All right, thank you, Jim. Okay, next up, under our old business is bylaws committee report. Pastor, do you want to just speak to where we're at there?
Yes. So as Josh Hall, our head elder, had mentioned, I had a meeting, as I told you at the last congregational meeting, that we would talk about those words. That purpose of that meeting was not to make a decision in regards to what's going to happen at St. Luke's. It was to talk about the issue and for me to try to figure out how to make a recommendation to the church on what to call elders. And ultimately, as I talked with all of them and we worked through all the challenge, if you wanted to be a part of the 2-hour conversation, it was available. I'll give you the succinct. We ultimately came to elders. And if you're wondering what an elder is, that's a care advocate. So that's what we're going to recommend with the bylaws as they're being reviewed. So as the circuit visitor, I've talked with the district president many times, asking where the bylaws were. I talked with him in his office, and he said, I think they're on somebody's desk. And I just said, great. When you're looking for our tithe in the next few months, just know that it's on somebody's desk. We were just playing. Mike and I have a great relationship, but no, that's all going the way it should go. I did get to talk to the guy, the pastor who leads the committee for review for the district, and he said it should be reviewed and returned to us by July sometime, is what he said. So theoretically, it could be ready for review and whatever changes need to be made and all those things afterwards. But that's where we're at in the process. So there you go.
Thank you, Pastor. Next up, we have the New Business Investment Committee report. John McRae. But you didn't think you'd have to stand up here with the microphone again.
John McRae, I'm on one of the members of the investment committee, and so a couple meetings, I believe one congregational meeting ago, maybe two, there was conversations about, hey, we have all these different savings funds sitting in different pots with different amounts of money, and all gaining different varying degrees of return. And through the congregation and through talking with council and everything else, the point of the committee was to be like, hey, can we move some of these funds to a better fund in reality? You know, you folks with 401ks or IRAs or whatever investment stuff, you want to get the best rate of return that you can, but we also don't want to invest in, you know, Bitcoin, right? So that's what we're kind of charged with, making sure that the funds, that the savings accounts that we were talked about are in a safe and secure manner. So one of the things that was done and was sent to council was take some of this funding, some of these funds, put them together into it's not a money market account, but it is a different funding account through the bank that gets us, as of the meeting we had last week, about 5% rate of return so far, and we've only had it in the account for 3 months. So, and it's more about growing that nest egg so that we can fund other things in ministry without having to touch the nest egg, right? You gain percentages, you gain income from it. That money can then go to ministry, can go to a project, can go to a thing, without ever having to worry about, oh, where did this $750,000 go? Because I remember that was a number when I was president that was people were always talking about. Oh, we have $750,000 in the bank. Well, we have $750,000 in various different forms of funds. And there were signatures for some people, and we always had to go find one or two. So it was where we're at now, the funding arm is much more centrally located. It is not chasing the market. It's not like we're going to wake up one morning and all that money disappears. That's not how we put it in there. But it is growing at a good rate, and we still have money in the LCEF fund because we still want to be able to support an LCMS company and group. So that fund is still sitting there, gaining what it does and what it can, and we have a much more money in this other fund that's growing as well. Both funds are growing, both funds are being well taken care of. That's as much as we're meeting once a quarter right now. Just like kind of like when the financial reports come. But Sarah Scantini and Charisse are almost in daily communication because it's at our bank. So the guy that runs our fund is also at the bank that we bank with. So they're talking with him almost weekly. But the reports come in monthly and then quarterly. So we met last week to say, hey, we just got those funds moved over. After 3 months, how are we looking? And we're looking very well. So that's what about the 40,000-foot view I can give you.
Any questions? Seeing none. Oh.
Yeah, I have a question. It's Paul Maurer. It's not related to John, which you presented. This is under new business. And I maybe should have brought it up when we were talking about the treasurer's report. I had an opportunity to look at the qualifications that were being looked for a future treasurer. And it was not something that an average person with a 4-year degree could do if it wasn't in accounting. And you probably might even need a master's. And then it also said it was a hands-off position. what was required in that for looking for a future treasurer with a hands-off position didn't seem a little incongruent to me. So the church's finances are very substantial. And my understanding now is probably Charisse and Sarah are making decisions when money's going to be moved or whatever. And there might be some other people kind of in the know, but it's, my understanding is those two people. I think it's time for St. Luke's to look at getting an accounting firm to start overseeing and monitoring and providing the insight and directions and the necessary financial documents so this church can go through an audit at the end of a year and have it come out and we know it's going to be realistic. I think if we don't do that, I think it's a big mistake. In fact, I would like to make a motion that we have council look into establishing a relationship with an accounting firm to oversee the financial aspects of St. Luke's as an outside source. That's the end of my comment.
Okay, is there a second? Steve Tate. Any further discussion on it? All in favor? All opposed? The motion passes. That will be coming for the... Could you please repeat the motion, Paul?
That St. Luke's Church Council look into finding an outside accounting source to work with St. Luke's on all aspects of the necessary financial accounting and reports and activity of the church. I'll come up and look at it. Thank you.
And Steve? Yes, since you're seconding it, to make sure it's the same way. That would be smart. Great. I think this is the end. So just two quick announcements.
Yep.
First of all, with regards to the staffing issues and the looking with Mabel, that's in reference to our communication needs and things like that. Currently, Charisse has enlisted the help of Kimberly to do temporary work to help in the office. So if you have communication needs, like things that need to get into the weekly email or need to get into the announcements and things like that, you can call the office or send the email to office@stlukesreno.org, and she'll be there from the 9 to 2 time to be making sure that there's somebody in the office. So if you have any questions about that kind of stuff, you can talk to her. But this is part-time, so please talk to her during her paid hours. Don't get her on a Sunday because Charisse will be mad that she has to pay for those hours if she's doing work. So Charisse ain't here, but she would want that said. So anyway, respect her time as a congregant and as she's serving here as well. The last thing is we just got a notification on our door that there's going to be a slurry seal on the street outside on Lakeside Drive on Tuesday. So if you have a Tuesday event here, that is going to be canceled or rescheduled. So be watching because we will not have access to the parking lot at St. Luke's starting at 7 a.m. on Tuesday the 4th. Just found out today with a little sign. So for you Bible study goers, that's an FYI. We'll be walking, for phones and stuff like that. But if you want to come to the office, you'll be walking from a different street. So I'm gonna ride my bike.
Just to clarify, I am on the clock right now. So if you have stuff you want to talk to me about today.
If you have stuff for the office or to take to Charisse, I guess she's working right now. So by all means, talk to her about a whole bunch of stuff. Otherwise, can we close?
Yeah, do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Okay. Everybody's like, a lot of people did. Joanne Phillips. Any discussion? Motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. We will close with the doxology. Pastor, please lead us.
We'll close that extra. Praise God from whom all
blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him above, ye heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Thanks be to God. Thank you all.